Hey everyone. I want to talk a little bit about the most important things that we can come to understand, that we need to come to understand right now in this moment. There's a few, and I say that they're all equally as important. So I'm not putting them in any order. I'm just saying these dynamics that I'm about to express are all equally as important to understand, integrate, and live. First, understanding that we are connected to all things. We are connected to everything and everyone around us. Throughout the entire universe, down to the very last atom, molecule, bacteria, we are connected to everything. And our ignorance of this connection does not mean that you're not connected to everything, which leads me into the next most important thing that we need to come to understand right now, which is the law of cause and effect. We have to understand the law of cause and effect. We have to understand that our actions and everything that we think, we give our energy to, and our behaviors in day-to-day life, in every single moment, have an impact on our environment, have an impact on one another, on other beings. So it ties right into being connected. It ties right into understanding that we are connected to everything. Understanding that we're connected to everything and understanding the law of cause and effect. And I don't mean intellectually grasping this knowledge. I'm talking about living this shit, living this knowledge beyond concepts, beyond words, beyond knowledge, quite frankly. Beyond knowledge, we have to live this. Understanding that everything you do has an impact on one another, has an impact on our environment, has an impact on our planet, has an impact on the universe. Everything that you do ripples out and comes back to you. And that's just how this place works. That's just how this reality works. The law of cause and effect is immutable, it's objective, it's non-man-made, it's eternal, and it applies to all beings with the capacity to perceive this law. It applies to all beings with the capacity to understand and live in alignment with this law. Most of the planet has no idea that their actions actually have an effect on other people, that the thoughts that they think the most actually have an impact on other people, not just people, but other beings in general. And we wonder why we are where we're at. We wonder why we're in the situation that we're in. Because we're so ignorant of because we're ignorant of this fact. We're ignorant of the truth that there is a law here that is ingrained in the fabric of this reality, that is always having an effect on us, that is always bringing us the consequences to our actions. And so this is another thing that we need to understand. The system is set up to shield you from your karma, to shield us from all the shit that we bring onto ourselves based off our actions and how we're participating on the planet, how we're participating in our personal lives. The system does its best to keep us distracted enough so we don't have to face our suffering, to face our teachers, to face the things that are trying to teach us a lesson. The system says, here's alcohol, here's this, here's that distraction, here's some porn, here's some Netflix, here's some social media, here's some this, here's some that, here's some more of that. Constantly staying distracted. So I won't say the system shields us from our karma, but it keeps us from having to feel the wrath of our decisions. How we're behaving, how we're thinking, how we're moving through this life has an impact on one another, has an impact on what's going on. And the system does not want us to understand this. This is one of the last things to control. Because if you understand this, if we understand these things that I'm talking about here, the system's done. The control system's gone. Its lessons are no longer necessary. And yes, the control system exists to teach us a lesson because we're collectively manifesting it in our reality, which is another extremely important point. Equally as important as knowing your interconnectedness to all things, understanding the law of cause and effect, understanding that the system attempts to keep us shielded from our own pain, our own trauma, our own accumulated karma, for lack of better terms, the things that we bring to ourselves, the consequences to our actions, and then understanding that what we're seeing on the world stage is a reflection of what's taking place within us collectively, individually and collectively. We are collectively manifesting the hell that we're burning in currently. I, on an individual level, may not be manifesting the hell. You might not be on an individual level, but 95+% of humanity, not being generous there, 95+% of humanity is manifesting hell because they're burning in hell internally. So no wonder you got Bill Gates creatures walking around and all these minions crawling around in the darkness, trying to suck everybody dry and leech out everybody. Things called government. These monsters, these parasites called government that just kind of sit like ticks on top of different pieces of land. I'm not going to call them nations. I'm not going to call them separate countries. I'm just going to call them pieces of land throughout the world, throughout the planet. And they just suck. But the thing about it is they need our permission to suck. They need our permission to extract energy from us. I see so many people talking about how the government steals from us and the government does this to us and the government does that to us because they play the victim and they get something out of it. They're getting something out of playing the victim. Bullshit. You're giving your approval. You're signing off on it. You're giving your energy to it. They can't take things without your permission. And they say, oh, 95% of humanity gave us permission, so we can just take from all beings. We can just take from everything. No. Not for somebody that understands their sovereignty, not from somebody that understands that the illusory nature of government, the illusory nature of authority. And yes, I know I'm kind of ranting, but I'm not. I'm keeping it all in the framework of what I'm talking about here. All of these are extremely important points. For somebody who understands their power, their infinite nature, deeply lives it, no authority, no government, no sinister, crawling parasite can touch you. That's why it's so important to withdraw our energy from the system, because the system only exists as long as we need it to, quite frankly. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. The system exists, the government exists, the authority figures exist, the police, whatever, they exist, as long as the people think that they need them to. And as long as the people are participating in evil in their day-to-day lives, they're going to manifest evil in their environment, and it's just a reflection of what's taking place inside of them. So this entire reality is attempting to show us what's taking place within us collectively, within us individually, and then within us collectively. And then you got a few people on YouTube and on BitChute and all these different platforms that are attempting to relay a message, telling people, hey, the system is a reflection of what's taking place inside of us. The system is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. You blame the system, you point fingers at the system, and you're pointing fingers at the wrong entity, the wrong, thing. This is where we need to be pointing the fingers at ourselves, because we're the problem. And that's another extremely important point that we need to understand right now. We are the problem. Not them. Because when we withdraw our energy and we take our power back and we understand our infinite nature, we understand our connection to all things, we understand the law of cause and effect, our natural law, we understand natural law, and we understand that the system is constantly trying to keep you shielded from this knowledge, period. Trying to keep you shielded from your power. Because through your suffering lies your power. And they don't want you to suffer. The system doesn't want you to suffer. Because the parasites can't exist. If you're learning how to suffer, if you're learning how to walk through the flame, become a flame warrior, the system can't have that. Because the system goes away. It's like the ego. As soon as you stop feeding the ego, it's tamed. It goes back in its place, and now it's being used to radiate a message as a vessel. An ego is a vessel for consciousness to flow through, and that's it. Ego is a vessel for consciousness to flow through. Ego is not in charge. So as soon as you start withdrawing your energy from the system dissolves. The system dissolves. And I'm not talking about being perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You do your best. You put the intention out there and you live the intention. You don't just have good intentions, you don't live them. Like a cop that has good intentions, but he pulls somebody over for a nonviolent crime and arrests them because they have a plant in their car. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter how good your intentions are if your actions aren't in alignment with your intentions, which is another point. If your actions aren't in alignment with your intentions, then your intentions mean nothing. Our intentions and our actions have to be one. They have to be merged. They have to be integrated as one. And they have to be lived. If your intentions is to live in harmony with your environment, live in harmony with other beings on the planet, then you have to live those intentions. You can't say, I want to live in harmony with my environment, with the planet, with other beings, etc. But I'm going to still go work at the IRS. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. I'm going to still go and vote. And I'm still going to go give all my power away to government and authority. These illusory things that we've made up to rule over us because we don't want responsibility for ourselves. Which brings me to my next point. We are responsible for ourselves, no matter what we think. Let me say that one more time. We are responsible for ourselves, no matter what we think, no matter what we've been told, no matter what we believe, no matter what kind of program is engraved in our minds. We are self-responsible beings. And another reason why the planet is the way it is, another reason why we're in this predicament that we're in, is because people give their responsibility away. And it's an illusion. So just by trying to give your responsibility away, you create suffering for yourself. You create suffering for not only yourself, but for other beings, depending on the extent of your actions of giving your responsibility away, depending on the severity of your actions or your behaviors, whatever that looks like when you're giving your responsibility away. There's a consequence for that. There's a consequence. There's a cosmic consequence for giving your responsibility away. And when you have a huge, gigantic mass of individuals giving their responsibility away, you got government. You got this illusory authority going on. You got tyranny. And that's just how it works. So we have to take our responsibility back. We have to be self-responsible. We have to become responsible for our lives, every aspect of our lives, no matter what, no matter how severe the things that we've gone through, no matter how terrible and treacherous the pits that we have fallen into. We have to take responsibility for our lives, take our power back, and use those experiences that we've been through. Which brings me to my next point. Each experience that we go through is to teach us a lesson, is to help sharpen our blade, which is us. It's to shape and mold the role that we're here to play on this planet. Each experience that we've gone through creates the necessary friction for us to wake up, open our eyes, take our power back, and then shine that light. As long as you're playing the victim in any area of your life, you're not seeing this. You're not taking all of your power back. You're not withdrawing all your power from the system. The system feeds on negative energy. The system feeds on fear and doubt and insecurity and low vibrational energy. And I'm not saying there's an intelligence behind doubt. There's an intelligence behind insecurity. There's an intelligence behind these things. There is. If you're having doubts, then you probably shouldn't be doing the things that you're doing. Or you have a conditioned program in your mind that is, you're suffering from cognitive dissonance. Like, for instance, if somebody's been getting vaccinated their whole lives, and now they're waking up to the fact that vaccines are fucked up and they're wrong, then and so that now they want to make the decision to not get vaccinated. The conditioned aspects, they're going to have doubts because the conditioning, the habitual program that's been running within their minds. Oh, I get vaccinated. Whenever the new vaccine gets out, whenever the new vaccine comes out, I just get vaccinated. That's just the way I roll. Your new discovery is going to bump heads with that. So you're going to have doubts. You see? You're going to have doubts. And that's where discernment comes into play. That's where having insight, that's where having strong inner knowing comes into play. Awareness. This is the right thing for me to do. I can navigate through the bullshit. I can cut straight to the truth with proper discernment, with keen vision, with sharp awareness. Which is another point, having discernment. I see a lot of people that have hardly any discernment. People all fixated on symbols and words and, all the details at all times, all the rabbit holes, all the breadcrumbs at all times. You got to have discernment when it comes to navigating through the murky waters of life, to the murky waters of this reality. Life's waters aren't murky. We've made them murky. Because we've been in ignorance for so long. We've been ignoring our true selves. Ignorance. We've been ignoring our true selves. We've been stuffing the aspects of ourselves that we don't like, that society has told us need to go away, like sensitivity, like vulnerability, like love, like compassion, like connection. We've shoved them away and created this magnificent shadow that we continue to run from. Which brings me to my next point. The shadow. The shadow is only our repressed, the things that we deemed bad or irrelevant, or we were ashamed of them. Certain traits, certain emotions that we felt, certain characteristics that we have, certain powers that we have, quite frankly, certain powers that we have. We shoved them down. We asked too many questions as a kid. Your dad or your mom goes, "Don't ask so many questions." Your teacher, "Why you ask so many questions? Oh, you ask so many questions. Why do you ask so many questions? Stop asking so many questions. Stop asking so many questions." So we hear when we're little. At least that's what I heard when I was little. Why you ask so many questions? You don't got to ask so many questions. So I just shoved that part of me that asks questions deep down into my being, into my psyche. I repress it. There's the shadow. Now a shadow starts to form. All the trauma that we've gone through, all the pain, all the suffering, all the insecurities, all the doubt, all the shame. Shove, repress, shadow. And now we're running away from this shadow every single day. And we'll just keep feeding it. We just keep feeding it until our shadow gets so enormous that we either have to physically die or we have to fucking face it. Or we just go watch football and drink beer all day, right? Because that's what we do now. Well, the reality that we're living in now is being shaken up so incredibly vicious. Like it's being turned over on its head. The unveiling is taking place. There's a massive shift taking place. I have a feeling that there's going to be a split between the individuals who are on this planet and that understand who they are, know their true nature, and aren't going to take the shit. And the individuals who are going to become cyborgs because they're going to end up getting microchipped. That's just my feeling. And again, there's another point that I want to bring up. Is we need to understand that this reality is tiptoeing us towards complete technocracy, complete control over the human body and the human mind. Really, it's the mind that they want control over, and they already got it for the most part. But because they're taking such big bites, people are opening their eyes. And it's going to take extreme courage to not succumb to the Leviathan called the control system. And to keep your power withdrawn and to feed yourself. And feed those around you that want this, that are serious about this work. That are serious. Yeah, hold space for people. Hold space for other individuals. Hold space for people that are, on the brink of awakening or people in your everyday life. Hold space for these people. But like I'm here personally for the people that are serious about waking up, serious about understanding who they are, serious about reality itself, life itself. Life itself. I don't have time for people that want to half-ass things. I don't have time for people that are just completely entranced in the matrix. I don't have time for people that are embedded into the control system and that bend over for everything. Oh, mask, I wear a mask. Oh, vaccine, I take a vaccine. Oh, this, I take a this. Oh, microchip, I take a microchip. Oh, this. What's next? Oh, do you want me to go try to control other people while I'm at it too? Because as Matt says in his videos, he talks about minions. Minions as being like the Hillary Clinton creatures and the Bill Gates creatures and whatever, Dr. Fauci. But the real minions, I'd say, the real minions are us. We are the real minions. Because without us, these parasites wouldn't exist. We're the ones doing the dirty work. We're the ones getting our hands dirty here. Us, the order followers, the individuals who are blindly obeying and submitting to all the orders and all the things that the system wants us to do. I stopped saying, here's another point. Here's another point. You noticed that, right? I stopped saying, here's another point I wanted to bring up. I'm just starting to bring up points left and right here because now I'm just kind of, going off. We're the minions because we're manifesting the reality. We're the ones putting the most juice into the reality and solidifying whatever we're thinking, solidifying whatever we're going through internally, which is what they want us to go through because, quite frankly, we're sitting here on our smart devices like this all day and our computers and every screen possible. And if we're not, we're just distracting ourselves. And they're just programming our minds into the framework, into the code. They're coding our mind to what they want us to create. They are embedding into our mind what they want us to manifest for them, so they don't have to get their hands dirty, so they don't have to feel the wrath of their actions. Feel the consequences to their actions through the law of cause and effect, through natural law. So they have their minions, us, do it. They have us do it. And they've been playing this game for a long time. And now shit's getting shaken up. So what are you going to do? I'm sure I have a ton more points to bring up. Oh, one more. You got to be honest with yourself. We got to be honest with ourselves. We have to be honest with ourselves and others. If you're honest with yourself, you will inevitably be honest with others. We have to get honest with ourselves about the way we think, the jobs that we're working, the relationships that we're in, the dynamics and the circumstances and the situations that we have put ourselves in. We have to be honest and face reality. We have to get honest about what's taking place inside of us, deep in our deep layers, in the deep layers of our psyche, in the subconscious, in the unconscious realm. We have to face ourselves. We have to face ourselves. And guess what? It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I feared my whole life facing myself. I feared my whole life for 24 years. I don't know, 20 years. For 20 years, I ran away from my shadow. And then I turned around and faced it. Oh my God, it was the most liberating thing I could have ever done. Yeah, there's still pain. Yeah, there's still suffering. Yeah, there's still these things. It's not all butterflies and rainbows once you face your shadow. It's dirt. It's hard. It's difficult. It's a hardcore process. But we got to do it. We have to do it by getting honest with ourselves and admitting that we've been wrong. That's getting honest with ourselves. That ties right into getting honest with ourselves. Saying, I've been believing in government. I've been believing in slavery. If I've been believing in government, that's getting honest with yourself. This entire reality has been a hoax. Everything I've been taught is a lie. That's getting honest with yourself. And again, maybe not every single thing you've been told is a lie. I'm over exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying. Basically, everything we've been told is a lie. We have to admit these types of things to ourselves and then start shining that light, start radiating that throughout our days as we walk this planet. And tap people on the shoulder. Hey, you know what? Guess what? You have a lot of power. Hey, guess what? You got a lot of fucking power here, man. You're like an infinite being, an infinite creator in this matrix. You're an infinite creator, but you got to get out of the matrix. You're stuck in the matrix and they're suppressing your power. You're just suppressing your own power because they've convinced you. The system has convinced you to suppress your power. The system has convinced you that your DNA is an enemy. The system has convinced you that you're a separate little, basically, a piece of trash. A worthless piece of trash that has no power, that has no say, that has no voice. And if you want voice and if you want power, then you got to stomp on other people's faces and you got to make a bunch of money and you got to be fucking ruthless. That's what this society teaches. Or you hop on the religionist bandwagon and you just accept everything how it is. And you just say, you know what? I'm just going to give up and I'm just going to allow this being outside of me called God to take over my life. And I'm not talking about there's something to be said about that, right? Because we are God. We are all God. We are all connected to God. We are all inextricably connected to God. So therefore we are all God. Equal parts God. I'm talking about people that think God is separate from them. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm just going to allow this separate being. I'm not God. I'm just this little, organic body. I'm just this little body. Just got to make my way through society. Got to shuffle my way through society and follow the rules. No. Nope. So we got to tap one another on the shoulder and say, wake up. Look, this is what's going on here. We can't wake people up. We can't wake people up. We can't really help other people. We can on one level, But ultimately, people have to help themselves. Ultimately, we have to help ourselves. We have to get ourselves out of the mess that we have put ourselves in. Again, we are responsible for ourselves. We are responsible for our own lives. No one else owns us. No one else can rule over us, ever, in reality. No one else has the right to rule over us or be our masters or whatever. And we only think that people have these rights. So therefore, it seems that they do. It seems that they actually exist, but they don't. They don't. You're just manifesting them for yourself to see the hell that it brings with it by manifesting slavery, by manifesting rulers to rule over you. You're just manifesting this hardcore experience for yourself to go through. So we have to get honest with ourselves. We have to help other people to get honest with themselves. If we are to see anything change or any transformation, rather, I don't think change is the appropriate word. It's a transformation. It's a revolution in consciousness that has to take place. If we're going to see balance, more balance in this world, if we're going to see more connection taking place in this world, conscious connection, we got to come to understand and integrate and know and ultimately live beyond knowledge, beyond concepts, beyond ideas, all that I've laid out in this video. And as more things come to me, I'm going to make more videos on this, and more videos on this, and more videos on this. And I might get a little repetitive because as long as the problems persist, I'm going to be persistent in speaking about the solutions.